Episode 55 of the Third and 10 podcast is now live. What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday to y'all. I'm Nate. Brian here is to my right. We hope you guys had a great weekend. These past 3 days, have been some exciting days of football. And in the NFL, only 4 teams now remain as we head towards Championship Sunday. On Sunday. The
Yeah.
As for college football, it came to an end last night. As you guys can probably tell, you know the result, and we don't even have to tell you because you can tell at Brian's face and reaction. Right now, usually, if the Irish won, he'd be excited as heck, but today he doesn't look as
No, it's
content.
morning. We're
It's
mourning right
morning.
now. The
Yeah,
loss. But we'll get
you,
out of it. We'll snap
yeah,
out of it. We'll get entertaining here in a second.
yeah. You don't seem like you don't seem mad, and that's kind of a good thing. I
I'm not
think.
mad. I'm just disappointed, is
Hmm.
all it is.
Yeah.
It's just like they played a crap second quarter. This, they fought back. They fought every ounce, and they made it a close game.
Hmm.
That's all you can ask for.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do.
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll break down the college football championship later on in the show. We'll also discuss the head coaching updates around the league. We have a few teams in the news, specifically the Chicago Bears, as they have found their new head coach, and we'll talk about that also later in the show. But without further ado, we might as well get started,
Yeah,
shall
let's
we?
go. Let's just do
Um,
it.
so the divisional round occurred on Saturday and Sunday for the NFL. I think most of us can agree that two of the boring games were played on Saturday and the exciting games were played on Sunday.
Exactly like we said.
Yeah.
We said if you're gonna miss a game, miss it Saturday. We were
Yes.
right.
I would say we were partly correct because the second game of that Saturday
Yeah.
slate was the probably the most exciting
Yeah. Well, the
game.
late game was exciting. You went to dinner, like I said you should. You probably missed that Chiefs game, which was the boring game.
Which is more that was the game that you could afford to miss.
Yeah.
Um, and we might as well start with that one first. The Chiefs played the Texans, and hey, Joe Buck talked about after the game when he was talking with, I believe it was Scott Van Pelt, about
Mhm.
how if you're going to beat the Chiefs, you have to be perfect. And
Yeah.
the Chiefs they didn't play a perfect game. Like their offense didn't look as good as we thought they would be because 21 days of rest. You're thinking, hey, everyone's healthy, like that's no excuse. I kind of figured maybe some rest would be factored into it, but I mean, once again, a sort of a mediocre performance by the offense for
Hmm.
Kansas City.
Except for Travis
Mahomes,
Kelsey, who came alive finally.
yeah, that
Like,
was good.
what is he like? I tweeted it out on Saturday. I'm like, does Travis Kelsey really just save his entire performance for the postseason? Is that how confident he is now that he's been playing the playoffs? Where he's like, I'll just take off the regular season and just come out in the postseason when it matters. Like, what the hell?
I mean, it seems like it. I mean, he was really good. 7 catches, 117, a touchdown. Mahomes literally, that's the only person he threw to because
Yeah.
in total, Mahomes had 177 passing yards for the whole game. Had that one touchdown, which was to Kelsey. I think was sacked like maybe once or twice. Mahomes
Yeah, because
was.
every
Oh,
time he got touched, they threw a flag at him.
yeah, that was
He didn't touch
ridiculous.
him.
That was ridiculous. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing I want to break down real quick before we get to the Houston part of it. Is that look, I get it. Okay, you're a good team. You're popular. You're one of your star players dating arguably the most famous celebrities in the world. But that,
Yeah.
come
People
on.
are wearing diapers for a concert. She's pretty famous.
I'll never forget when you told us that for the first time. I will say that because I was just
It's
like,
100% true. You can look it up.
but yeah, just I feel bad, for whoever plays the Chiefs because it's you're not just playing the team, you're playing the refs. And I
Yeah,
know
exactly.
it's like, you know, Chiefs fans are like, oh no, you're just like they'll never admit it. They'll probably be like, oh, you're just jealous of our team and blah blah blah. But like it's so evident, like that out of bounds play where Mahomes was going out of bounds, the defense kind of pushed him, but he kind of like in the NBA when you flop, he kind of like extended his body forward, like like he was actually getting pushed, even though it was like a slight little push. Like it wasn't roughing like unnecessary roughness or anything like that. And they still called the flag on Houston, and it's like, okay, but if it was any other quarterback, which we saw multiple times during the weekend with quarterbacks getting hit hard, it wasn't unnecessary roughness. Like take I think it was the Jared Goff interception
Yeah.
against Washington, where I think Goff was pushed down. He got a concussion, I think, or
Hmm.
almost a concussion from that, but there was no flag called. Yeah, if it was freaking Patrick Mahomes, be like, oh, unnecessary roughness, blah blah blah. Eh, I think what the NFL does maybe need to investigate this if this continues, um, especially if we see this again next week against Buffalo. If we see like the slightest hit of Mahomes, if they're going to call it or not, because this is getting ridiculous. I think
Yeah.
was
It's
was it
bad
going
for the league if every time the Chiefs play, who should be your dominant team, and like that should be like your marquee franchise right now. If
to?
every time they play, there's controversy about what the refs is, that's a problem. That's a bad look for the league. And like if
Yeah.
Goodell is this guy that wants to protect the shield, this is something he has to address.
hmm Yeah, because the more this occurs, the more it's just gonna look bad,
Hmm.
and everyone's be like, "Oh my god, here come the Chiefs!"
It's
Kind
the
of thing.
stupid you're creating a stupid narrative and a stupid storyline that doesn't need to exist. And that is like the NFL is rigged and the refs, favor one team over another. That's just like it's a dumb storyline. It's impossible to rig the NFL because like people think of like WWE and like, oh, the NFL is doing what they're doing. That's kind of hard to do with football. You can't like make somebody catch a ball like you can like make somebody throw a fight. That's it's a little hard to do that. So, but there are conspiracy theorists and people that think that way for whatever reason. And if you're the NFL, you want to kind of, you know, don't give them ammo. And this is stuff like this gives that, crazy group ammo.
Yeah. Look, this Chiefs team is 100% beatable.
Oh my God, it
Houston
is.
may have not been the best opponent to kind of
No.
support that
I mean,
theory.
like, the Chargers probably give them a better game, if we're being honest.
Mhm. I think,
And
yeah,
like,
I mean,
you
yeah.
can't really say that because they lost so bad to Houston and stuff. But like, I'm just saying, on paper, if you look at the talent going into that game, the Chargers probably could have gone in that stadium and won.
I mean, consider the fact also that the Chargers are, divisional rivals of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Would
Seen
have
them
been
twice, know the game plan, know the schemes, know what the matchups are.
go from there, other things, but
Mm-hmm.
you play who you play, and
Yeah.
Houston, survived round one, couldn't survive the Chiefs. CJ Stroud was okay performance wise, 245 yards passing, but 8 sacks by the Chiefs were just
Yeah.
that was the downfall. They only could not protect him. I think he had a knee injury, if I'm not mistaken, from that game, and he came out in that final drive for Houston, but there was like 20 seconds left, so they just took a knee and called it a day because
Yeah.
you don't
No
rush.
need to get hurt any longer. No need to get hit
Yeah,
anymore.
you
Just
weren't coming
we're
back.
done.
9 points down. So, but overall, this was kind of a game that I kind of just want to breeze by because I mean, we all expected the Chiefs to win. They
Yeah.
won by 9. The spread was 9.5. So for those Vegas people, but hey, I'm not going to say anything about it because I'm not an expert when it comes to gambling. But when the spread is 9.5 and the Chiefs won by 9,
Oh, you want to jump off a building if you like the Chiefs? That's simple.
yes sir,
You
yes
lose by
sir.
half a point. Oh, it's the worst. It's we legit in college would be like, I'm gonna jump off the roof because that's I
Worst
don't know what to do
feeling.
right now.
No, not a great feeling to have. Not a great
No.
feeling to have. But 23-14, the final score for the Chiefs as they move on to the conference championship. Once again, for I think the fourth, fifth year. I don't frick. I lost track at this point.
No, it's
It's
longer. It's way longer than 5.
longer than that.
Let's
Yeah.
see. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We're at least at 7.
Let's see. Yeah, 6, 7 is.
Because I think their first championship game was the one against the Patriots in 2018 when it was the 2018 one when the Rams went to the Super Bowl. That was their first one. And then they played every single one since then.
You think? I feel like for fans, like they kind of get tired of it. It's like, Oh my God! Here we are again in the conference championship. Like it must be
No, you
so.
can't. I would never get tired if the Giants constantly played the NFC Championship game, and especially considering like where the Giants had been. Like the Chiefs before Alex Smith were not a good franchise. Like I feel like we're kind of young, so like our earliest memories of football with the Chiefs is like Jamal Charles, Alex Smith, that type of team, and like Andy Reid starting to coach it. We don't remember like how bad the Chiefs were up until that point. So like if you're like a 40-year-old Chiefs fan, you're never getting tired of conference championship periods because you went through all those, horrific years. We're like us, like let's say in 10 years the Giants are kind of like the Chiefs of the league, God willing. We'll be like, we are never get tired of this because we've seen like the darkest days and like that is paying off now. So I don't think you can ever get tired of your team winning unless you've never seen them at their lowest. Like young Patriots fans are starting to learn how special that six Super Bowl run was because they're in the dark ages now, which they never experienced.
I think maybe tired of it isn't the correct word for me to say. I think it's rather like
An expectation, like yeah, we should
expectation.
be here. So
It's
like the
normal to be here. It's like
the
okay,
excitement level isn't the same. Yeah, that I'll
mhm.
give you. I'll give
It's
you
like
like, oh man, we made it back again. Super Bowl's the only goal. Like we're not hanging our hats on. Hey, we went to the conference championship. That's a successful season for us. It's like no,
mhm.
it's Super Bowl and bust at this point.
Damn right, damn right. So, congrats to the Chiefs. We'll talk about their opponent in just a bit. But the best game of this weekend
The
slate,
shocking game, most
the
shocking.
shocking game. Yeah, I said it. I believe on this show in the corner booth. It was destiny for Detroit to make the NFC Championship. I mean, to be the number one seed after what they went through last year, making the conference championship and losing to the Niners.
Be the NFL darlings all year. Like
Yeah, all year
just be like
long.
a team. I feel like unless you're like a die-hard Packers fan or Bears fan or Vikings fan, you love this Lions team. And
Oh
even
yeah,
if you were like a Packers or Lions or Bears fan, you kind of like, the Lions are kind of fun.
yeah. Like you looked at the team, it's like okay, I know they're in our division, or just any other team in the NFL. You look at this team, it's like okay, sure, they were the number one seed, but they were a really fun number one seed to watch.
Yeah,
Whether it was their celebrations or just the team as a whole, their head coach who is phenomenal, arguably coach of the year, once again for the NFL, unless it goes to someone else. Um, it was Detroit was my pick to make the Super Bowl
yeah.
because they were just a talented team on offense. Defensively, injuries, not that was that no. I'm not
No,
gonna say that
yeah.
was the excuse for the loss, but
Yeah, you don't
a
think
lot
that
of
game is
injuries on this
different
team.
if Agent Hutchinson's out there?
Yeah, 100%. It'll be a bit different, but hey, you can't control that. Um, and the Commanders. Well, look, I have to say, dude, I know it's early to say, but the way Daniels played, Jaden Daniels to be exact, on Saturday, I'm not saying he's a top 10 quarterback,
But he's
but if
well
I
on his way.
he's well on his way. Like if I would probably put him if I could, and like I say, it's early to say it, but I would put him at 10.
That's
because
fair.
ju- because just the way he's been playing all
Hmm.
year long, he rarely makes mistakes. His poise, his calmness, his clutchness, like 5 game winning drives this year.
Yeah.
Um, and the performance he put up on Sunday was phenomenal. 22 of 31, 299, 2 touchdowns, had 51 yards on the ground. So that's 300 plus yards of offense on his own, or in total for himself, I should say, through the air and with his legs. Uh, I don't know, dude. This rookie, he's a phenomenal rookie
Yeah.
quarterback. Like
No,
Brock
he
Purdy
is.
was good, but Daniels is so much better than him.
No, you're so right. And like you're fair to put him at 10. I don't want to say I'm reluctant to put him at 10
Yeah,
because like I would love to put Jane Daniels as a top 10 quarterback. I loved him in the draft. Like go back and watch the early episodes. I was banging the table saying the Giants to do whatever it takes to get Jaden Daniels on this team. I just am wary of putting him there because we said all this about CJ Stroud last year. And then look at what happened this year with Stroud. Now, nothing against Stroud. I still think Stroud's a good quarterback. I just think he's having some growing pains. Like like it happens to everybody. And if Jane Daniels next season kind of regresses, That's to be expected. It's sophomore slump. So that's the only thing that's preventing me from like overvaluing him. It's nothing his fault. It's just that we literally just did a song and dance with Stroud and it kind of blew up in our faces. So I'm not saying pump the brakes on Daniels. I'm just saying that Jay Daniels is really, really good, but this isn't his finished product yet, and he might still have those growing pains in him. And if he does, don't worry, he'll be fine.
Like we've seen from this year, it's like, okay, even if he does struggle eventually, or if he even struggles against Philadelphia, the hype around him should not go away. And like he
No,
is a
it's
young,
yes, this is a guy that's just developing, and he developed faster than we thought, and teams might catch up with it, and that's okay. That happens as long as he, with by year 3, can take the next step and show that hey, the rookie season is more of what I'm going to do, and that second year was a fluke. He's fine. That's why like Stroud's got a lot to prove next year with that because like if Stroud can play better than he did this season, he's back to being a top 10 quarterback.
mm-hmm. I think with Daniels is like all of the regular season and into this postseason, he's been just great. Like his leadership of this team, like even with the quote unquote lack of weapons, and I say that respectfully because outside of Terry McLaurin, not a lot of notable names on that offense. Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler are just they're two backs. They're not like good backs or great backs. They're just backs, running backs. Diami Brown, Zach Ertz, not the most dangerous supporting guys outside of McLaurin for this offense, but I will say for Brown, 6 catches, 98 yards led the team for Washington. Brian Robinson had 2 rushing touchdowns for the Commanders as well. And 45 freaking points is a lot of damn points. But hey, we love to see it. Love to see it if you're a Commanders fan. But I think what the more important story here is Detroit.
Yes.
Look, Jared Goff had a lot of good performances this year, but there were performances sometimes where he would just not be good. Take that game where I think was it 4 interceptions, right?
Yeah.
At one point this season. Had one game with that, and this is a big game for the Lions. We expect them to be in the next round, but for him to just throw for 313 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks with a 41.5 QBR, he was just not good at all. And that pick 6 by Quan Martin, I believe it was in the second quarter. That was kind of it. I think once that play happened, it just took the win out of the sails for Detroit. And it's not like Goff needed to play perfect. He just needed to be just put up, I guess, quote unquote, a normal performance, which of course didn't happen.
The game manager performance, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, 200 plus yards. You would have been fine.
Yeah, just something. Don't make mistakes. And he made 3 of them. 3 really big ones that Detroit they couldn't bounce back from. Like there's been times where Goff has made mistakes, but Detroit has pulled through, whether it's the running game or their defense. They just couldn't do it. And Jahmyr Gibbs was great. Amon St. Brown had 8 catches, 137 for his own, but just overall, the Lions could not get on top. And whether it was just Goff's mistakes or their defense just not being able to stop Daniels, it was a mix of everything. So, Dan Campbell was, you could just tell by him, his emotions. He was really upset and sad that, how the outcome went out, came to be, I should say.
As he should.
As he should. Yeah, but he he was really crying and he just couldn't look at the media members. He was just looking down and just saying what he had to say. And like, if for me, with our team being out, right, I was rooting for Detroit to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that made me sad, man, because Campbell made a great point last year too, where it's like when they made the conference championship, he was like, this may be our only chance to make a Super Bowl. And
he's right.
The teams are only going to get better as the years go by. Especially in their division. The Packers, Vikings are always going to be competitive with their teams. Yeah. The Bears might be on the come up. We'll see what happens there, but
get that a little bit.
Yeah, because the NFC, like from the Commanders to the Eagles, still always being good. The NFC West is no joke with their teams as well. their shot at a Super Bowl is gonna get less and less and less as these years go by because these
Mm-hmm.
teams are always gonna be competitive or going to be
Yeah.
more
This
competitive.
was their easiest path this year. Well,
Yeah, it
100%
was.
their easiest path. No, one seed in the NFC. They had kind of had like a 2016 Cubs feel to them where like they felt like a team of destiny that's going to break that curse, a feel good story, dominate all regular season. And then they just come up short in the biggest moments. And you're right. Like Dan Campbell's right. We think this Detroit Lions team is going to be good for years, and they should be good for years. But playoffs aren't guaranteed. You're not guaranteed these spots. You know, next season, in the first game of the year, Jared Goff, Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown might all have season-ending injuries in game one, and then everything's derailed. I'm not hoping for that to happen at all, but that's just a reality living as a sports fan, is that it's not guaranteed. If these games were played on paper, no one would watch, but it's the fact that they're on the field that gives it the extra element that nothing is guaranteed. It's the any given Sunday mindset, and it just hurts if you're a Detroit fan. It's a lot like what I'm feeling right now with the Irish. It's like, yeah, great season all, but we might not get back to that point again.
If you're the Commanders, obviously, Commanders fan, you're pretty
Oh,
damn
you're on
ecstatic.
cloud nine right now. This is your first, playoff trip to the conference championship since 05, right?
I think their first NFC title appearance since '90 in the '90s actually.
Damn, yeah, exactly. So like, this is pretty big. This is big for Commanders, and
For
the
sure.
Commanders are nice because they always were that team that was like, oh, they're good, just not good enough. Now it's like, okay, they're ahead of schedule now. Everything's beyond is gravy at this point. Dan Quinn's the right guy. They're finally building something. They've turned the page on the Dan Snyder era, and it's now the Harris and Dan Quinn kind of era in Washington, and it's going to be really good.
What a culture change in Washington to
Yeah.
go from a terrible owner in Snyder, Ron Rivera not working out as a head coach there, to finding a true, actually good head coach in Dan Quinn, to an
Mm-hmm.
outstanding OC and Cliff Kingsbury. Finding their franchise quarterback. Like,
Yeah.
look, man,
It all worked out at the same time.
and you talked about it last episode where it's like, as a Giants fan, like we hate the Eagles, dislike the Cowboys. The Commanders, honestly, don't have much of a problem with them. Honestly, like their
No.
rivals, fantastic, but they've been little brother for so long. We always beat them
Yeah.
all the time.
They were always with us, no matter what. Like, even when they were good, it's like, we could still beat this Commanders team. It's still like
Yeah,
just the Commanders. They never were dominant over us like the Eagles and Cowboys have. So, like, maybe they're older Giants fans. They hate Washington more, and like that makes sense because it was different back then. But for like our lifetime, the Commanders have always just kind of been like the other team in the NFC East. It's like, oh,
hmm
it's the Eagles and the Cowboys, and then Washington's there.
yeah. So just seeing them succeed doesn't hurt as much. And does it
No,
hurt? Sure, because I wish our team was there. But at the end of the day, it's
no.
like,
I don't want division rivals winning, but like you're telling me
if I
right
were to
now,
choose one,
if I had to choose one, it's Washington.
clearly. And there's a big reason for that, as we'll talk about their opponent that they'll be facing next week as well, because their opponent is also a divisional rival that Brian hates a lot,
Yeah.
and I of course dislike them because, well, they're in our division. So we'll talk about that actually right now, because the first game of Sunday's slate was the snow game between the Philadelphia
Okay,
Eagles
they're
and the
both snow
Las.
games. This one's
Yeah,
a little
both.
more snowy.
Yes, the Eagles and Rams. First half was sort of clean, like the field was not as snowy, but the second half,
It started to roll in at the end of the second quarter. You saw the snow get heavier, like, it's coming.
yeah, and then like in the second half, I was just like, okay, yep, the snow is definitely arrived.
Mm-hmm.
But it look, another subpar performance by Jalen Hurts. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, and look, I get it. He didn't have to do
Yeah, he
much.
doesn't have to. The
Didn't
team is
have
so
to.
talented around him. But it's given if you're an Eagles fan, you can't feel confident because
Mm-mm.
the game plan is well on display of how to beat you. Anyone can, beat you. It's all about giving the execution to it.
Yes, because the big question mark, especially after what we saw on Sunday, was, can Hurts win a game in the playoffs this year with his arm? Has he had to do that? No. because Saquon Barkley is friggin' good. Not like
Yes,
we know anything about it, but
no, I don't, because this is even the Barkley we saw with the Giants. He's another level. When
mhm,
Barkley was leaving the Giants, he was not this caliber player. A really
most
good
there.
running back, but not like this. This is
No,
different.
definitely not. Yeah, this is with the new offensive line, better offensive line, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, better teammates around him, better environment for him, where he's not always going to be the star player. Like there's guys like AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts in his own right. As the dog is barks in the background.
Even he hates
Um,
talking about the Eagles.
but when they needed him most in a snow game like this, he came through. 26 carries, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. He roasted the Rams in the regular season, and he did it again in the playoffs. And he is just, he's the best back in the NFL. He
Yeah,
really is. Just his
it
speed.
might be the best player in the league. There is
Yeah,
no question.
it's just his speed, his elusiveness, just everything about him.
He's de-aged 5 years. I don't know what happened. Like, this is the running back we saw at Penn State.
There's just performances like this that he puts up makes me miss him.
Yeah.
Because I
And the fact he had
wish.
Daniel Jones in the booth, too. You see that?
Yes, that's right. I think him and was it Shepard, I believe, were
Might have
in his
been.
suite. But I
Yeah.
think it was
It's
him
like,
and.
oh my, like, that's just salt in the wound.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just it kind of brings us back to the old days of him and Jones leading the team to the
Mhm.
playoffs in 22, and
What we thought this team was going to be. Like, okay,
yeah,
they finally have everything together. It's the right coach. They have a quarterback that, is not good, but he's just good enough. They have the elite back in Saquon Barkley. This team, if just put a few more pieces, they're right there. And now Barkley's helping the Eagles a win away from a championship, and the Giants are once again looking for the
something.
next franchise piece.
Which we hopefully have with Malik Neighbors at wide
Yeah.
receiver, and then we
And then
just need like
hopefully
a
bringing
franchise
in a guy
quarterback.
like a Travis Hunter, we find the right bridge quarterback, and we can just kind of take a step forward this year.
Mm-hmm. So one day we'll be successful again, but until then, we'll have to look at other teams and be happy for them, which
Mm-hmm.
includes unfortunately the Eagles, my man, because they
No, I'm
did.
not happy for them. Just screw
Fair
them.
enough. Fair enough. Okay. But the Rams, look, Stafford had a 300+ yard game through the air, two
Yeah,
touchdowns, no
he
picks.
quickly kiboshed all like Stafford can't play in the cold. Yeah, he had a really good game in the cold and the snow.
Just the receivers were dropping the ball.
Yeah, all
Kyron Williams
game.
fumbles. Like it was a mess by his
Mm-hmm.
supporting cast. Cooper Cup once again, terrible,
Yeah,
terrible, dude.
his future's uncertain with the Rams. Do you see that? They might move him,
Mm-hmm.
and I would.
I will, yeah, get some cap. Like he was a hero in the Super Bowl win over the Bengals a few years ago, but it's clear he's not.
He's not that receiver anymore.
Nakua
So
is the guy. Nakua is yes. They can get some. They can get a better number 2/number 3 than what Cup is because
yeah.
he is. He's what being paid a good amount of money if
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken. His production has declined. Like his volume, his time on the field isn't as much. And even when he's on the field, it's always either Nakua or Higby, like we saw on Sunday, like or even Demarcus Robinson to an extent, who had
Yeah.
that long catch against Philly on
Cup is no
Sunday.
longer the go-to guy in LA.
Not
He's
anymore.
3, maybe 4. You could argue.
Oh yeah, like because there's Nakua was one, Higby was number 2, same like on Sunday,
Yeah.
and you can like I mentioned, Robinson is
Mm-hmm.
kind of that number 3 guy. You can
Yeah.
always get an upgrade whether in the draft or in free agency. I think it's best for both parties, Cup and the Rams, to move on.
Yeah.
So
Go your separate ways. That's simple.
yeah. But Nakua, 6 catches, 97 yards, had that one outstanding catch late in the fourth quarter that it made it look like the Rams were driving. And
at that point, I'm like, oh my god, the Rams are gonna win this game.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Stafford just couldn't get the job done for the Rams, and on that final drive, overthrowing I think it was Nakua or whoever it was on
Yeah.
4th down to seal the win for Philadelphia. Both defenses, by the way, in the snow, outstanding. 12 sacks combined. The Rams got to hurt 7 times, led by Jared Verse, who did a lot of trash talking. But surprisingly, Philly fans took it the right way because he played really, really well. Had 2 sacks on the day. Was
Yeah.
getting to the quarterback, pressuring the quarterback pretty much all day long. Did it hurt the Rams that they didn't have Braden Fisk for like the second, third, and fourth quarter? Yeah, but can't control injuries. You can only play with who you have. Would it have made a difference if Fisk was healthy? Yeah, because when he was in the game, the Rams defense were really damn good. Maybe could have stopped the run a little bit better, but I digress. That's a what if scenario that we won't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we won't need to get into too much. But um, one more thing about Philadelphia, though, you can read all the books you want, but AJ Brown once again 2 catches, 14 yards, and 7 targets. Yeah, buddy. Books don't really help that
Time to
much.
lock in.
Yeah.
Lock in those books, which is now like, and like they're holding the book out, like that fan that had like the flag holding the book. It's like, Jesus, guys,
It's stupid.
you guys suck so much, all of you.
Yeah, there's no need to do that. It's so unnecessary. Like, okay, big whoop, you read a damn book. Like, no one.
Yeah, like he wrote a motivational book saying like the most cliche motivational lines ever, and like fans like, this is amazing, this is incredible. It's like, guys, it's not crazy.
Yeah, he's gonna get locked up at Marshawn Lattimore next week anyway. So, but I digress. Eagles win. Yay. Who cares? Bills Ravens.
Game of the week.
Ouch. That was tough. First off, he's so MVP, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, he really. If you don't know, it's Josh Allen we're talking about. He's so good.
Passing wise, look, only 120 something yards.
Bad conditions, bad weather conditions.
Yeah, weather was bad. Now, hey, you didn't hear us criticize Hurts because he had a subpar passing performance too. But, because there was like a double standard where it was like people criticizing Hurts, but not Josh Allen and blah blah blah. But I'm like, yeah, but Allen has had performances where like he's gone for 200, 300 plus yards passing.
Yeah, Allen's done it before. Hurts hasn't.
Yeah. Plus, well, let's be honest. Hurts' weapons versus
are a lot better.
Yeah, then
like if you give Josh Allen Hurts' weapon, Josh Allen is winning 3 Super Bowls in a row.
Damn right, because Keon Coleman, quote unquote, washed Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
not as good as
wash is the right word, but definitely on the back nine.
Yeah, like there's a reason why Cleveland traded him away.
Yeah,
like he was kind of non-existent on Sunday for Buffalo, but overall, Josh Allen 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground. He's clearly MVP. Led the way for Buffalo. I think it was like 147 total yards of rushing offense by the Bills on Sunday against Baltimore. But man, we talked about it before. Lamar Jackson in the playoffs he can't get it done.
It's not even Lamar Jackson's fault. It's Mark Andrews for dropping that touchdown and then that 2-point conversion.
Yeah, but
like what? I think it's the most fitting way for Mark Andrews to end this season because he kind of struggled all year, kind of got hot down the stretch, and then when it mattered most, he once again came up short.
Yeah, and crazy stat, by the way, when Derrick Henry rushes for 85 yards or more, the Ravens are 11-0. He rushed for 84.
Oof.
So maybe if he ran for a few more yards,
but that was the Bills. That's a good game plan on the Bills. They locked up Derrick Henry. They're like, all right, who's the most important player on that Ravens offense? Henry. All right, he can't beat us this week.
Damn
Do
right.
whatever you can to stop him, and it worked. Worked out great for them.
Yeah, Henry was good in the third quarter. In the first half, they shut him down pretty good. In the third, he ran for like 50-something yards. But when you hold a guy like that to only 84 yards, that's an accomplishment that you can give yourself a pat on the back for. But Lamar, 18-25, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, had that 1 fumble as well, caused by none other than Damar Hamlin himself.
Wearing the Guardians cap. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's still.
I still don't like it, but I digress.
It was just very funny seeing him wear it.
Yeah. Hey, he got to protect himself.
Hey, he more than anyone knows about protecting himself.
He's alive. Okay. We won't go too much into that, but 3 turnovers by Baltimore led to their demise. It was 21-10 at the half. Buffalo was leading, and then the Ravens outscored Buffalo 15-9 in the second half. But man, that's tough.
It's going to be a play that haunts Mark Andrews the rest of his career
It was
because
in his
that's going to be
hand.
what you think about. You won't think about how he was this great tight end, one of the best tight ends of the late 2010s, early 2020s, outside of Travis Kelce. You remember,
Hmm.
like, oh, he was the guy that dropped 2-point conversion that would have tied the game for Baltimore in the divisional round.
It was in his hands. It was right.
He
He
had
had
it.
it.
He was
He
like
had
this,
it.
and it slipped.
It slipped, and you can blame the conditions or whatever the case may be, but
You gotta
you
catch
mentioned
that
it.
ball. When you get hit in the hands like that, you have to catch the ball. I don't care what it is. Lamar gave you a perfectly thrown ball, and you alone dropped it. There was no one coming to hit you. It was on you, you and your butterfingers.
It was a nightmarish game for Andrews. Had that fumble also
Yeah,
in the game that led to the field goal for the Bills to be up 27 to 19 at that point in time. Um, but yeah, I mean, not to go too far ahead, but the Ravens can save $11 million if they release Andrews this offseason. Not that they will, but
that's definitely getting restructured. With
yeah, and
Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews is like you can move on from him if you had to.
but even Isaiah Likely himself, he's not
Not the
he's.
greatest, but I think he could step into a starter role and give you the same value that Andrews did this year.
Mhm. I think the bigger question is, I don't know, is Baltimore ever going to get over the hump?
It's tough. It really is tough. And this is where it's a similar conversation we're having with, Mike Tomlin. We might need to start having it about John Harbaugh. Because how long has Harbaugh
A
been
little
there?
bit,
How long has he been?
quite
How
some
long?
time, quite some time.
Yeah. So what? You got hired. I want to say 20. Is it like 2008? Is that when he got hired?
I think so, if I'm not mistaken. But he's been there for years and years. I think he's
Ever. He won the
yeah.
Super Bowl in 2013. Don't get me wrong. He won that. I'm just saying, is it after so long that coach's message gets stale? Same thing with Tomlin. It's nothing about the coach. It's just you've been there for too long. Everything's kind of gone complacent, and you need to shake things up a little bit. So I'm not
Mhm.
saying that Baltimore should fire Harbaugh for this game. I'm just saying that they legit have to look in the mirror and be like, all right, we had to kind of give Harbaugh he's not untouchable anymore. He's kind of moving back into all right, it's what have you done with us lately? And that Super Bowl was 11 years ago. You haven't really done anything since then besides just kind of be a good team that can never get over the hump. When we take that next step?
It's been 16 plus years since he's been hired as head coach
Yeah,
for
that's a
Baltimore.
long time to be a coach.
Hmm.
And eventually, every coach kind of falls behind. Belichick did.
And we're not obviously talking about him getting fired. It's just a matter of is there ever going to be change, or will there be change
Mm-hmm.
sooner rather than later for Baltimore? We'll have to see. But
Yeah.
if you're Lamar Jackson, the narrative continues. You're a great regular season quarterback. When it comes to the postseason, it doesn't matter, if
Mm-hmm.
if players are dropping passes, you are the quarterback, and it's not like you were mistake free on Sunday. You
No,
had a
he had
pick, you
some
had a
mistakes.
fumble. So yeah, that narrative still stands.
Yeah.
After every playoff win he always
So
loses the next one.
and he
And
can't beat the upper echelon quarterbacks. He's kind of
mhm,
always feels like he's just the tier below them. Like once he gets up for that next tier, he can't compete with them.
so question marks in Baltimore for sure.
Mm-hmm. Be
What?
interesting offseason because I don't think they're going to rebuild. I really don't. I think this
Yeah.
team is good enough, but especially this defense. But there has to be just some sort of change. I don't know what it is. Is it like breaking the banks and just bringing in T. Higgins, just finally this is an undisputed number one wide receiver, and it'll be kind of like Rashad Bateman's good. Those guys are good, but Lamar's never had the game changing wide receiver that
Hmm.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, all these other teams have had.
Hmm. And they're obviously a run dominant team, but maybe just having that clear number one guy wide receiver. Say Flowers is great, obviously, but he's
Yeah,
just not.
but
I
he's
don't. Yeah.
good, but he's kind of borderline. He's
Yeah.
wide receiver 2, maybe a low end wide receiver 1. You
Yeah.
bring in Higgins, it's gonna make the rest of the offense that much better.
Like I just don't see. I don't see Flowers always being that dominant number
No.
one guy.
And
I
like,
don't
if
see
you
it.
look at the team, like it's the one area where like you can kind of like say is weaker because the defense played great, the quarterback is good, Derrick Henry's great, Mark Andrews is was a top tight end in the league at one point. It's really just like, all right, if we want to shake things up and make a move, receiver is kind of like the only impact area we could really address.
Yeah. So overall, though, 8 teams came into this weekend hoping to have a shot at the conference championship in the AFC and NFC, respectively. Only 4 teams remain, as the Chiefs will take on the Bills in the AFC, and the Eagles will take on the Commanders in the NFC.
It's the best weekend of the year. This is
Yeah,
this is my favorite weekend of sports, conference
me
championship
too.
weekends. I
Me
love
too.
conference championship weekend.
Me too.
We
So
should do that. We should rank top 5 sports weekend of the year.
okay,
That's a future topic.
all right. We'll save that for possibly Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do it there. But
Yeah.
all righty, gotta do it.
You have to.
I know. If the Irish won, it would have been
Oh, I mean,
probably the
we
first
still
topic.
we led the show off.
Yeah, probably been the first topic of the day. Shout out to Julian. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you. But yeah, first time since 2014, the Buckeyes are back on top of the college football world. 34-23 was the final score. Exiled by Kansas State, Will Howard came to the Buckeyes and got himself a chip with a lot of great freaking weapons around him. Whereas Quinshon Judkins,
pay $20 million, you win a quarter, you win a Super Bowl, you win an Natty.
Judkins, Anderson, Jeremiah Smith, the 19-year-old freshman, Emeka Egbuka, Carnell Tate as well. This Buckeyes team, man, I tell you, you have talent like this around you. You're supposed to win.
Exactly,
are we surprised?
Yeah.
Are we surprised they won? No. We expected them
every Notre Dame fan, no matter how optimistic you were like, yeah, this is going to be a tough game. Like I said it on Thursday. I'm like, the only way that we win this game is if we force them to play our style of football and punch them in the mouth. Ohio State for the first half of that game played their style. We could not get a stop. We could not make a tackle, and they capitalized. They scored 3 after that opening drive. I'm like, we have Ohio State exactly where we want them. We just bullied them for 10 minutes and beat them every single time.
Yeah.
And then Ohio State, credit to them, went right down and answered, scored that touchdown, got the big 3 and out, and then scored again and just buried Notre Dame at that point. They did exactly what they had to do, which was jump out and bury them early.
Yeah. That first drive by you guys was absolutely insane. Over almost 10 minutes.
That first drive, everyone had to be thinking this Notre Dame team is for real and they're going to win this game. Because Ohio, if that is the level of energy and momentum that they're going to carry every single drive, they're not losing this game.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't keep. That just wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
They burnt out on that first drive, and they took them, 2 quarters to recover.
Yeah, it's hard to consistently put up long drives like that because, like you mentioned, that is their style of football: physical, run the ball. Riley Leonard running the ball, Love running the ball. Love didn't really run the ball as much. Let's be honest.
No, Love was shut down last night. Again, that credit to Ohio State. In a game where we thought Love was going to be the healthiest he'd been since the USC game, he put up his worst performance of the postseason.
Yeah, just 4 carries for 3 yards for Love, and Leonard led the way for rushing. Also 17 carries for 40 yards. Yeah, but hey,
well, it wasn't just that. It was that. Like, Leonard did everything he could. Marcus Freeman did everything he could. Even when Notre Dame was down 31-7, he was running fake punts. He had the 2-point conversion to make it an 8-point game. He handed it off to Faison, and Faison's running, and I'm like, he's going to throw this football. And he nails him wide open in the end zone for that 2-point conversion. I'm like, this is what we're doing. We're right there, 31-7. Because that's my first thought when it was 31-7, and they just looked so bad, was just like, if it were truly a team of destiny and everything we've come over this year, we can still come back from this lead. And then Marcus Freeman did everything possible. He put all the right buttons. Ryland did all the right buttons. They were right there. But in the end, Ohio they dug themselves too big a hole, and Ohio State was just that much more talented than we were.
Yeah, you guys fought hard, man. I mean, to come back from 31-7 and make it 34-25 as the final score.
If you would have told me at halftime that Notre Dame was going to be competitive in the last 2 minutes of that game, I would have laughed in your face. Like, no, this game is over. especially coming out of halftime when they drove right down the field and scored. I'm like, man, the blowout's on, it's over. But I'm like, it's gonna be a long second half. But the fact that they hung in there and fought says so much about the culture of Marcus Freeman's building. And it might not have clicked this year, but this future is still really, really bright for his Irish team with that performance last night. They didn't roll over in 2012 when they were down 35-0. They rolled over and died. You didn't see that last night for that Irish team. When it was 31-7, they kept fighting and kept playing their style of football. And they're like, we're down, but we're still in this. Let's get some drives together. Let's go score. We can get back in this game. They didn't stop believing. They did not stop believing until there was, less than a minute left and Ohio State was on our 10-yard line with no timeouts. That's when this team gave up because at that point, it was pretty much mathematically impossible to win.
Yeah. So
it's a tough pill to swallow, and it's going to hurt Irish fans for a while. But once we get past this, and you can mourn, I'll probably be mourning for the next couple weeks. But once we get past it, you're going to see how good this season really was and where this future is going because it's bright. It really is bright. We have CJ Carr, a 4-star quarterback, coming in next year. He's going to be our starter. Jeremiah Love's returning. Wide receiver group's going to get better. The tight ends group should be better. The O-line should be a lot better. Might be the best in the country. The defense is losing a lot of key pieces, but we saw a lot of underclassmen this year step up. They're getting another year of development. They'll be better. I'm not saying they're going to be the elite group they were this year, but they'll still be a formidable top 25, maybe top 15 unit in the country. And then that O-line can get better, and that offense, especially if the passing game just be a little more efficient, where we're not just focusing on running this football. Notre Dame will be back. We will get back there, and we will get over that mountain one day.
For those diehard Irish fans who know these players on a last name basis, Love, Price, Moore, Gray, Jagusa, Knapp, Schuler, Bowen, Snead, Greathouse, Botello, Young, and Traore are all back for the Irish next year.
That's the core right there. Like, sure, we're losing Riley Leonard, and I love Riley Leonard. Don't get me wrong, but he can't throw a football. He cannot. He can't throw the football. It's that simple. Like, we need a quarterback that can actually be like, all right, we want to do an 80-yard bomb down the field. That's what CJ Carr is going to give us next year. And there's going to be growing pains. It's a sophomore quarterback. I'm not expecting Notre Dame to win a national championship the very next year. All I want to see is this team continue to show what they did this year. That is fighting for Marcus Freeman, keeping games competitive, and being competitive against big-time opponents. I'm not saying you have to go 6-1 against top 25 teams like you did this year. Just be competitive in those games. If you lose, it's one-score game, and if a play here or there changes, it's a win, or they're hard-fought victories. That's what we need to see. Continue getting those culture-defining, program-building wins to keep moving up that ladder.
So, Ohio State, yes, a party for them.
Yeah, they're partying Ohio State. Good for them.
Good for them.
Ryan Day. He ended a lot of questions about him. A lot of questions. He had his chomp on the hot seat. Like, if he goes into Tennessee and they lose that game against Tennessee, Ryan Day's got a good chance of being fired after that. So shout out to him. He did exactly what Marcus Freeman did, which was after a bad loss, rallied his team, goes, guys, we're better than this. Let's move on, but not forget this feeling. Let's remember this feeling and go out there and never feel it again. That's the mark of a great coach. And I think Ryan Day ended a lot of question marks about himself last night.
That Michigan loss will always hurt. You never want to lose to, a big rival like that. No. But after that loss, they turned it up. And that
a lot of Ohio State fans, it's the only way that Ryan Day can be forgiven is he wins the national championship. He did exactly what he had to do.
Mm-hmm. And now I'm sure, there'll be some doubters out there, but he still can't beat Michigan. Hey, who cares?
He already did beat Michigan, though. He beat Michigan before.
Yeah. But, when you lose to Michigan, it's always like, okay, what have you done for me then if you can't even beat Michigan, especially the team that Michigan was this year. But
especially when he was coming in and during a time where they were so dominant, they were so dominant over Michigan, and it's kind of fallen off under him. But he
correct.
can get back there. I think a lot of his critics are going to be quieter now about him because he did what he had to do.
Yeah, the ultimate goal is always a chip. Who cares? If it's like
Yeah.
if you lose to Michigan or you lose to Northern Illinois like the Irish did, like it doesn't matter as long as you win or make the chip.
Yeah.
Who cares? And
Mm-hmm.
I think enough about the Buckeyes because it already hurts as it is, and I don't want to
Yeah.
put salt to the
I
wound.
mean, little interesting that the Buckeyes won the 14 playoff for the first season, and then won the
And they won the
first
chip.
12-team playoff. Like that's a little interesting kind
Pretty
of
yeah,
thing.
pretty damn cool, I will say.
Yeah, I will admit, like, damn, that's cool.
But I will give you guys props, man. I think for me, just being able to learn about the Irish and talk about the Irish, sort of on a weekly basis. I know we kind of stopped talking about them as the season went along because it was normal for you guys to win every single
Like
week.
normal to win by 18 plus points. And like we had
Exactly,
noted in the briefing, so like if you really wanted a full breakdown, you just go read that.
exactly.
That's
Which
coming up. I'm halfway written that so far. I couldn't write last night. I was too
yeah,
emotional last
I
night.
don't blame you.
I couldn't sit down. But this morning I woke up. I listened to a little bit of what Freeman had said. Listened to what Jack Kaiser and Riley Leonard had said. I'm like, all right, I can go from here.
You can go from there. Yeah. So, but I will say this: it was definitely a joy learning and talking about the Irish with you all year. What's it called all year round, all season long, I should say. My apologies. And
Yeah.
for the Irish to lose to Northern Illinois in week 2, and you guys just win out the rest of the way and make to the championship, and then lose to the Buckeyes, obviously. But I don't think anyone or
No.
you would have believed anyone who would have told you that you guys would have made the
I
chip this
said it.
year.
I'm like, if you would have told me that after the NIU loss, if you would have told me that Notre Dame will go on a run to the national championship game and be a win away from a natty, I would say you're an insane person. This program has too many question marks on them right now. They're not going anywhere this year, and that's hats off to Marcus Freeman, who took his toughest coaching hurdle, which was somehow rallying this team, and he turned it, and now he's one of the best coaches in the country. I will go down. I might have said Marcus Freeman might not be the right guy for this job. I was dead wrong. I said it in the article. I'm like, I'm wrong. He's the right guy. He will bring Notre Dame back to the promised land. He got the right mentality for it. He is great with the players. He's great with recruiting. The future is so bright for Notre Dame right now. It's the brightest it's been in years.
So that means we'll see them in the playoff next year then.
If they can just do 12 teams and do exactly what they did this year, they'll be back.
All right. Sounds good to me. So, congrats to both teams for making it this far. Hell of a college football season. So excited for next year to learn more about the Irish and all the things. And yeah, shout out to Marcus Freeman, man. Hell of a coach. Hell of a guy. A lot of people like him, guys and girls alike, for the obvious reasons for each
The
each
girls are
gender.
so funny. Like I remember my sister was like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "That's Marcus Freeman."
That's Marcus Freeman, and it's like,
She's like,
whoo!
"Whoa, I might even watch more Irish games." She sat down.
And then for us guys, it's like, yeah, he's a hell of a coach.
I'm like, that's a guy I'm gonna run through a brick wall for.
Yeah. Hey, thank God he didn't go to Chicago because I heard there was some football head
That
coaching
was
interest.
never gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, he interviewed with like the Bears were interested. He'd
Mhm.
already signed an extension with Notre Dame to be the coach to 2030. Like,
Mm.
he wasn't leaving.
Yeah. There we go.
There were rumblings beforehand too, and even then, people who like knew anything about the situation were like, "This is nothing more than a negotiating tactic." So Marcus Freeman can get an extension from Notre Dame. That's all this Bear stuff is, and it worked.
Yeah, it worked. So, speaking of the Bears, they did find their head coach,
They
and I'm
did.
sure it wasn't Freeman, but it's pretty damn close to being good as Freeman if they were to sign Freeman, if they could have. But I will say this before we talk about these two names. I do feel bad for Dan Campbell because, 2 outstanding seasons this year and last year as well. And to lose 2 of your arguably the best coordinators he's ever had, that freaking hurts. But first off, Ben Johnson, the OC for Detroit, basically kind of less than 48 hours after their loss to the Commanders. More than 48 hours. Less than 72 hours, I should say. After that loss to the Commanders, Ben Johnson decided that he wanted to be a head coach and not stay in Detroit as the OC. And he goes to the rival Chicago Bears. Funny enough, if you guys don't know, there was a prank made by 2 adults who hit up Caleb Williams pretending to be Ben Johnson. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but
No, I've
basically,
not. What is that? What is it? Someone pranked Caleb Williams?
so basically, they got access to Caleb Williams' number and they texted him saying or acting like Ben Johnson. Be like, hey, this is Ben Johnson. I'm gonna be the new Bears head coach. Blah blah blah. And Williams was like, yeah, man, I'm so excited. And then the guys FaceTime Williams, and when Williams picked up, he started laughing, and like the guy was like, yeah, it's just a prank. Blah blah blah. We're big fans of yours, and he hung up after like a few seconds after realizing that wasn't Ben Johnson. But it's ironic how that prank occurred, and now this is actually for real.
Yeah.
That this is occurring.
I mean, like at least Caleb was like a good sport about it. Like, oh,
yeah,
they got me. That's
yeah,
pretty good, guys.
Hey, but now it's true. Look, Ben Johnson was great in Detroit as the OC.
Yeah,
the Lions were arguably, I think, one of the highest scoring offenses this year, and I'm sure
they
last
were
year as well. He turned around Jared Goff's career 1,000%, and hopefully he can do the same with Caleb Williams and that Bears team.
And he's putting together reportedly a star-studded coaching staff. Like
right.
Dennis Allen, the old Saints coach, is going to be the defensive coordinator, and he said to expect at least one or two more big-name guys to join that staff. I'm like, all right, this is interesting.
Sorry, you said Dennis Allen?
Yeah. He said Dennis Allen's his defensive coordinator.
So the same Dennis Allen that sucked with the Raiders and sucked with the Saints.
Yep. BC. And that's star-studded, apparently.
Anyways. Mm-hmm. Hey, look, it's the Bears. So
it's the Bears.
Anyone that can get
some guys are made to be coordinators. Maybe you could just be a really good coordinator.
That is true. Some coordinators cannot be good coaches. For example, Dennis Allen. But I digress. Yeah. Was this a good fit for the Bears?
I think so. I think this is a great fit for the Bears because you finally give your young quarterback an offensive-minded guy. Like when Justin Fields was a young quarterback and the Bears were the opening, everyone was yelling to bring in someone like Dable, like bring in that offensive-minded guy. And then they signed Eberflus, which is like, what are they doing? Like, why are you bringing the defensive mind? This team is needed right now. They kind of right that wrong and bring in the hot shot offensive-minded, should be the next big Matt LaFleur type guy. And to give him a quarterback like, Williams, it's finally going to be, all right, you're giving a competent coach to a competent quarterback. Let's see what they can finally do together.
And for Caleb Williams, he's still young. His first year in the NFL.
His rookie season was not great, but look at the situation he had. He had Matt Eberflus, who's a dumb head coach. He had not a great NFL roster surrounding him. Now the Bears can go in, reload. They got a good coach, put in a good staff around him. The Bears could be, about to take that next step next year.
Hopefully he does. He has a lot of young, good weapons around him. Odunze, Swift to an extent. Keenan Allen, maybe he can still continue to produce like he did late in the regular season this year.
Yeah.
DJ Moore as well.
We can go bring in better guys than them.
Yeah.
All right, we're done with Allen. We'll go get somebody else.
If all goes well, the NFC North is going to be really freaking competitive next year. I tell you that. Yeah. So. But yeah, speaking about another Detroit coach that will likely get the job, Aaron Glenn is visiting the Jets today, and if all goes well, the Jets will not let him leave the building. If things do not go well, we could see him go to New Orleans for an interview as well. But the goal for the Jets is to not let what looks like to be the former defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions leave East Rutherford without signing a deal to be the head coach. So, two good Lions coordinators, more than likely, going to be head coaches.
Hey, that's what happens when you build good teams. Other teams want your coordinators. It's real. I know it sucks, but it's a compliment to how good your team's been. That hey, everybody wants my coordinators, my coaches. I said I got to be doing something right if they want to copy that.
Unless you're the Giants.
Yeah.
Because why in the world is Mike Kafka getting a freaking
Well, that's the New Orleans Saints being in a completely run organization, okay? That's the New Orleans Saints continuing their moniker as the most mediocre team in all of sports.
Are they allergic?
Take him. For the love of God, take him.
Are they allergic to interviewing good coaches? I don't understand why.
I don't. What has Mike Kafka done to prove he could be a good coach? Even even when the Giants' offense looked good, it was never given to Mike Kafka. So it goes, it's Brian Dable because Mike Kafka is running Brian Dable's playbook.
Because I'm looking at it right now. So it's Kafka, Aaron Glenn, but he's more than likely
He's
not
the
leaving the
Jet guy,
Jets.
so no.
And defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver. Like, where's the name?
The
Where's
internal
the
option. So their options are they're either gonna go with an internal guy under Dennis Allen's staff, right, for the Saints.
Weaver was the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. My apologies.
Okay, so they're gonna go with him, like a no-name nobody, or Mike Kafka, who's only known because he's on the Giants, which is one of the worst offenses in the league for years now. Are they trying to just bottom out?
I'm trying to see here. The Dolphins defense. Okay. I guess. I mean, they were the fourth best defense in yards per.
All right, but the Saints defense is not as talented as Dolphins defense is.
I'm sorry. Excuse my lack of freaking knowledge. I don't know who the Anthony Weaver is.
Nobody does. He's not a big name guy.
I'm looking at the name. I'm trying to. I've heard of him. It's like, dude, I don't know. Look, I think we're two really good NFL analyst guys that run a freaking podcast. So excuse us if we don't know who Anthony Weaver. You ask the average NFL fan, they don't know who the frick Anthony Weaver is. If you ask the Belly Up Company who Anthony Weaver is, 80% of them have no idea.
Unless you're a Dolphins fan, you don't know who Weaver is. Or like an AFC East fan, and you're constantly seeing the Dolphins.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The Saints are going to be the Saints. Like, are they going to have any success in the near future? No, because one, Derek Carr doesn't want to take a pay cut. Two, I don't know.
I think $60 million in debt, probably. Because they're always over the salary cap by like a ridiculous number.
They need to like just reload. Like,
Saints are the biggest reason why the salary cap just doesn't exist, because the Saints are always so far over it, and then by like free agency, it's like, yeah, the Saints have just cleared up all this cap space magically. It's like, how
they do it? Loans, and more loans. It's like, no, that's not how the NFL works. But hey, they'll figure it out, I guess. So, but
take Mike Kafka. You'll love him. You'll love him.
Give us some third rounders. We could use them. We could use some picks.
I just want a new offensive coordinator. It's something that's. I think if we're not going to change the head coach, why not just change something? Just do something.
Yeah, I wonder who would we get. I wonder.
Ken Dorsey is the guy that immediately popped in my mind. I don't know where he is.
I will say we've been pretty quiet this offseason so far.
Yeah. Where did Ken Dorsey go? He was the Bills guy, got fired by them.
Wasn't it Cleveland?
He might have been Cleveland. No, he's a free agent.
Oh, really?
No, he was the Browns offensive coordinator this year. And then they made Tommy Reese the OC this year. So Dorsey's a free agent. So that's where I could see the Giants going, is Ken Dorsey, because he was the QB's coach in Buffalo, and he was originally the guy the Giants wanted to bring in to be the OC, but instead I go with Kafka.
Okay.
That'd be who I go as the favorite to get the job. Maybe there's someone else out there, but that's who I think like early on that'd be the most speculated guy.
Make us proud. That's all I ask for. Yeah. Giants, do something, man. And yeah. Before we go, we have to make one Giants headline. Why? I guess. Because why not? We're a Giants podcast, sort of. The Titans have a new GM, Mike Bergonzi, who was the assistant GM for the Chiefs before signing a recently new deal to be the official GM of the Titans. More on that possibly Thursday, because that situation before they hired him was a bit weird that I would like to dive into. But apparently a sports network called the Draft Network recently released a mock draft. Has the Titans trading down with us for number one. Here's the thing.
What do we give up?
Sorry, let me get my draft day.
Don't you dare tell me to draft day trade. I swear to God, I will log off.
I'll save that joke for another day. In all seriousness, the Giants get the number 1 overall pick for the number 3 pick.
Makes sense.
The 34th overall pick.
Okay.
The 65th overall pick.
Jesus.
And a second round pick in 26.
Fire Joe Shane immediately if he does that. That's the dumbest thing. I hate that move. Hate it.
All right.
It's a lot to give up for this team that's not good enough.
Okay. There's also
who do we pick?
We pick Cam Ward.
All right. It's not bad. Still don't like it. There's a lot of pressure on him now.
There is. But there's an alternative that you might consider.
Okay.
We give him number 3, number 34, and the first rounder next year. We keep our third rounder at least for number 1.
I'd much rather do the first one.
1, 2, and 3, and then so we keep the first rounder next year.
Keep the first rounder.
Okay.
So we can't lose first round picks. We're not good enough to lose first round picks.
I mean, if all goes well from a draft standpoint, we lose Brandon Brown and Mike Kafka. That's 3 third rounders.
Sure, so and that could help you move, yeah.
Yeah, but like, damn.
But like, I don't want to really be banking on losing guys to get draft picks back. Besides Kafka, they can lose Kafka.
Yeah, Brandon Brown is someone I want to keep.
I would love to keep Brandon Brown.
Yeah, he's a good assistant GM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll be a good GM in this league one day. I don't know what it's going to be for us. I doubt it's going to be for us, but I think it'll be good.
I think the Raiders had interest in him, so that's why. Like, I think he might be gone if the Raiders signed to be the GM. But
I don't know. It's the Raiders. I don't trust anything the Raiders do ever. Speaking of which, the Raiders, I made it, and maybe we'll go more into this on Thursday. The Dallas Cowboys are the brand new Raiders, whereas like in Al Davis's final years, the team went senile and got bad. I think we're going to end that with the Cowboys, where Jerry Jones goes senile and the Cowboys get bad. I think they're going to mirror each other perfectly.
Oh man, the Cowboys. One of my good buddies, he's a Buckeyes fan, and I texted him last night. He was very excited about the win, but he used to be a Cowboys fan. Used to be is a key word. He doesn't follow NFL as much, but I was like, you don't follow the Cowboys no more? He's like, nah, man, like they're just, I can't watch them, and I'm like,
oh. Like I said, the Cowboys won't be good till Jerry Jones dies. As long as Jerry Jones is running that organization, the Cowboys are going to suck.
That's dark as hell, man.
It is, but it's true.
Hey, facts are facts.
Facts are facts. Look at what has Jerry Jones done the past 5 years to let you know that he knows how to build a good football team?
I don't know. Resign Dak Prescott 2 hours before the game starts.
Okay. And is Dak Prescott a top 10 quarterback? Yeah. Does Dak Prescott deserve to be paid $60 million a year like he is?
No.
Okay.
This is very stupid. And this may be the stupidest idea. What if the Cowboys and the Browns traded with each other? Prescott for Watson.
Why would the Cowboys want Watson?
I don't freaking know.
At least Prescott is like somewhat serviceable. At least Prescott's just overpaid. Like Watson's bad and overpaid. Prescott's just really overpaid for what he can do.
It was the most randomest idea that came into my head just now.
I mean, like it's kind of it reminds you of like a trade where you have like 2 bad contracts and you just kind of flip them for each other.
Yeah, but
like that thought, it makes sense. But it's also like, why would unless the Cowboys are getting like significant draft capital back, like I don't know why they would want Deshaun Watson and all the baggage that comes with them, and the fact he just tore his Achilles again.
Yeah, it's like, but we believe in Deshaun Watson to be a top 10 quarterback. Do you see what he did in Houston? But it's like, yeah, Jerry, but that was like,
but Jerry, it's no longer 2017.
But Jerry, it sounds to be like, Dad,
put the phone down.
Let
No,
me
Dad, don't
handle it.
draft Johnny Manziel. No.
Don't bring him back from retirement. He's
No, that was a real thing. The Cowboys were going to draft Johnny Manziel, and it legit took Jerry Jones' son begging him not to make him not do it. You can look it up.
Wait a minute. I will look it up. Where does Quinn Ewers go to school?
Texas. Maybe. But like Quinn Ewers doesn't have the same hype that Manziel did.
But he did go to Texas.
Yeah, he went to good Texas. That is true. But like I think the Manziel effect was more just how big of a star he was, and that's why Jerry Jones wanted him. Whereas like Ewers didn't have that like the aura around him like Manziel did. Like Manziel was bigger than life. Like don't forget back in 2012, 2013, the biggest guy in all of football was Johnny Manziel.
Yes. Maybe it's because we record this in the morning, so my brain is like going in different directions. Why do I feel like Ewers might be drafted?
It could be a possibility. I don't think he's gonna be a first round pick like he would, but I think maybe if he falls, I could see Jerry Jones be like, "Hey, let's take a shot on him."
When we break down quarterbacks, I think maybe be like talking about their best fits. I would say would be a fun topic to discuss because if Ewers is not a first round pick, he's not a second round pick. The highest he could go to me, because I don't think he's ready.
I can see him being a late second round pick only because quarterbacks are overvalued and it's a bad quarterback draft. And it's got even worse when like Drew Aller kind of hopped out. So like Ewers is already like the fourth guy, but that says more about the quarterback draft and how good Quinn Ewers actually is. So a team might just overrate him and pick him higher than they should, which is to be expected with quarterbacks. You kind of always overpick a quarterback.
I swear to God, if we draft Quinn Ewers, I will.
I really don't think it's gonna be Quinn. If we're gonna draft anyone, it's Jackson Dart. That's gonna be the guy the Giants draft, but it'll be like a third or fourth round pick.
Anyone that's not Sanders just hurts my soul.
Yeah, it's I hate to break it to you, it's not gonna be Sanders unless something crazy happens. It's not gonna be Sanders.
I guess Travis Leonard's okay.
Oh yeah, I guess the two-way player is fine.
Just want a quarterback. But
I do too, but like that quarterback's coming in free agency.
No. I don't want to have to come on here and be like, we signed Justin Fields.
That's gonna be an episode. I really think it's gonna be that, Justin Fields, Winston, or Russell Wilson. It'll be one of those three will be a Giant next year.
Man, so we're either
guaranteed.
Gonna get a former Buckeye, which will hurt you a little bit.
Yeah.
Because of the Buckeyes. Or a guy that was the main guy for a Subway commercial called the Danger Witch. Or we'll get a guy that
washed.
I love playing in the snow, man.
I love playing in the snow, man. All glory to God. That's great, Jameis. But the question was, how do you feel?
And speaking about a guy real quick, I will say before we go, mad respect to both Ohio State and Notre Dame. A lot of talk about faith.
That's been sweeping college football recently. A lot of guys talk. Really nice to see. Really nice to see.
Yeah. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I think definitely
I don't have a problem with it.
No problem at all. You shouldn't be. No one should. Because that's the man above, man, right? And
exactly.
For them to pay respect to him. Mm-hmm. Literally the first thing that comes out of their mouths before they talk about the
game. Leonard had a Bible verse on his
That's right.
Last
that
night.
Was really freaking cool.
I forgot what it was. I looked it up. I forgot what it was, but like it's Matthew's 3 something
70.
It was. Let's pull it up real quick. It was a cool verse. It was really. It describes Riley Leonard perfectly.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Like for the first time I saw it from when I was watching it, because I did watch some part of that game.
Matthew's 23:20.
23:20. Yeah, I thought it was just the Irish logo, honestly, at first, because I couldn't see it from far away.
The saying is, for those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Perfectly explains Notre Dame and Riley Leonard this season.
Yeah, there you go. So, props to them, man. Especially Leonard. He's a good guy. He may not be a good NFL quarterback.
I would love it if the Giants draft Leonard in the 7th round or something.
I know you freaking would. You son of.
You tell me he wouldn't be an exciting guy to have on our bench, and just if he comes in there, it'd be exciting.
I just
Like do what the Commanders did, and like just do like, all right, we know this guy kind of sucks, but like let's throw Sam Howell out there for a season and just see what happens. We'll try again next year. Like if we do that with Ryan Leonard, I'll be like, I don't hate it.
I know you. I know you wouldn't. Look, man. He cannot throw a
He
ball.
cannot. No, he's not an NFL quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But like if we just like throw a late round pick at him, same thing with Jack Kaiser. I would love to throw a late round pick at just Jack Kaiser and just be like, I don't know.
Give it a try. Look, I wouldn't.
He played
mind
70
Leonard.
college games. Only got to translate.
That's true. That's true. I wouldn't mind Leonard. Like he would be like if he's like a late round, 6th, 7th round pick.
Yeah.
Like
I was talking to this my buddy before the game, like on Saturday night. Like we were just chatting. I told him like Ryan Leonard isn't a good quarterback, but he has the mentality and that personality that he could be just like a 10-year vet and just be backup everywhere, like Josh McCown kind of. He goes, "You're not wrong. Like in a spot start, he could get you what you need."
Yeah, he's a running quarterback, but that is so useful in today's game.
Yeah,
and let's
Taysom Hill 2.0.
Oh, true. Much bigger Taysom. No, Taysom Hill is like 6.
Yeah, no one's really tried to do the Taysom Hill thing other than the Saints. Like, could maybe someone get creative? Be like, all right, we kind of can get that out of Ryan Leonard. He's just really athletic and kind of can play everything.
True. We'll let the football gods decide.
Yeah.
When April comes around, which is gonna be sooner rather than later, we'll find out who.
Yeah, it's almost February, which is crazy.
I know. I'm happy. I'm happy. I know football's gonna be over soon, but
catchers coming out. Tournaments are gonna start up pretty soon for college basketball, so that gets pretty intense.
March Madness,
NHL, NBA playoffs coming up. Like football ends, but we kind of have a nice little break, and then we're right back into every day we'll watch something else.
Exactly. Plus the NFL with the combine,
the draft, free agency, never stops. And then once the draft's over, OTAs are like 2 weeks out, so you're right back to football.
True. You watch the USFL?
I might put it on for background noise.
Same.
I'm not like overly enthused about it. Like the only cool part I see about the UFL is like, oh my god, he's playing still? What's he doing there?
Wayne Gallman?
Yeah, exactly. See, like Wayne Gallman and those guys, like, man, that guy was good in college, kind of sucked in the NFL.
Yeah. DeShone Kizer? I don't know. Sorry, that he's like the first name that came to my head.
DeShone Kizer, so you picked a giant and a Notre Dame quarterback.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Kizer was
a quarterback. Yeah, Kizer should have stayed at Notre Dame another year and delayed Ian Book a year.
Yeah, I don't know why I came up with that name, but hey, that's my brain for you. Like, come random names on a Tuesday. But all right, that'll do it. Season 2, episode 55 of the 3rd and 10 podcast. It was a fun one. Talk about the NFL Divisional Review, the Buckeyes beating the Irish, and NFL head coaching updates around the league, and all of the things. So with that being said, you can follow us on social media at BrianPG1016. You can follow me at Nathan_Nguyen24 and our podcast page at 3rd and 10 Pod on Instagram, Twitter /X. Question mark with TikTok. Is it back for you?
Oh, I deleted TikTok.
Say high five.
I deleted it Saturday night when it got banned because I clicked it like 4 times, and like I had a couple beers, so I'm like, I'm gonna keep hating this freaking app all night, and it's gonna keep pissing me off every time I open it up. So I'm done. I'm gonna delete it. Then
apparently it's back for everyone.
No, it's back, and I'm like, oh cool, we'll just re-download it. And then I went to re-download it and couldn't. I'm like, oh, we got an issue here.
It's all right. So it's okay. I mean, you guys will find most of my content on YouTube anyways, and maybe Instagram, but TikTok was the one that got the most attention. We can still post on there apparently because the website still works.
So yeah, I know. You go on like Safari and like look at stuff. Like I've been on Safari using TikTok. It sucks because you cannot like any videos, and after a while it says, "Why don't you use the app?"
Yeah, I'd be like
I'm like, I can't.
I can't. There's a reason why I'm here.
I don't know how true this is. I saw this on Twitter. Did you see Cardi B about the TikTok ban before we go? Oh my god.
What is she? A VPN?
The Hawaiian VPN.
Oh my god.
This is a person that said she wanted to run for like House Representative. Like, get out of here. You're dumb as a box of rocks. Don't be offensive to box of rocks.
My God, even a box of rocks would be smarter than that.
Well, Bucks and Rocks would know that Hawaii is part of America. If you live in America your whole life and don't know that Hawaii is not only a part of America, it's one of the 50 states, you're a moron.
Speaking about America, you hear about the Gulf of Mexico?
The Gulf of America. What are you talking about? I don't know
Yeah.
what the Gulf of Mexico is.
And there's only 2 genders. Okay, we gotta stop before we get canceled.
I mean, it is a funny story about the Gulf thing. When I worked at a fish market, we used to have to say the Gulf of Florida because people get skeeved out about the Gulf of Mexico. They think like, oh, this came from Mexico. It's like, no, it's just called the Gulf of Mexico. So we had to say Gulf of Florida, let people know that this trip was from Florida.
Florida.
Yeah. And
It's
so,
not from Mexico.
So like when he said like Gulf of America, I'm like, that would make my job a lot easier.
True.
So I'm like, I kind of see it.
They're like, but if it's from the Gulf of Mexico, why isn't it from Mexico? I'm like,
That's what they would. Nate, I swear to God, that's because I tried it for one time. I'm like, oh, it's from the Gulf of Mexico. This is Mexican shrimp? No, it's from Florida. It's just like the body of water is called the Gulf of Mexico. Like, I don't trust that Mexican water. What else do you have that's from America? Like, Jesus Christ, woman. Like, none of this shrimp could it's either from Mexico or India.
And that is why Trump is changing to Gulf of America.
Yeah,
but hey,
that's why. Because fishmongers around the world are tired of morons.
We're already 2 days in, and a lot of changes by Trump already. So
a lot of changes.
Woo! For you,
shout out Carrie Underwood at the inauguration yesterday.
She performed.
Yeah, a cappella, beautiful.
Ah,
like they had a music glitch, and the director goes, "Just sing." She goes, "All right," and puts on a great performance.
That's the woman.
It's like, sing along if you know it.
That's true. I mean, that is a Saturday Night Football woman for a reason.
As she was, and we heard it in that when I think she's saying "God Bless America." I don't know. She sang something, but it's very good.
God bless America. But, all right, folks, we'll see y'all on Thursday, man. We got a good episode for you there, and we'll see maybe if the Giants make headlines, but we'll cover the conference championships as well, and we'll cover, discuss and give our predictions for those matchups. So for Brian, I'm Nate. Thank you guys so much as always. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.